To understand how important the Pottawatomie Massacre was, we need to cover what was happening in America, especially Kansas, at this time. The 1854 Kansas-Nebraska Act was a bill passed by Congress that created the territories of Kansas and Nebraska, introducing popular sovereignty, which was the idea that the people who lived in the territory got to decide if they wanted it to be a slave state or a free state. The Kansas-Nebraska Act would overturn the Missouri Compromise of 1820, which stated that slavery was banned north of the 3630 parallel. Pro-slavery people poured into Kansas from the south, and anti-slavery people poured into Kansas from the north, with both sides creating their own governments while condemning the other. With so many people racing into Kansas, brutal fights would break out between the pro-slavery and anti-slavery parties, resulting in many deaths. This would be known as Bleeding Kansas. One of the key people in Bleeding Kansas was John Brown, an abolitionist who wanted to earn justice for those who were enslaved. 5 of John Brown's sons went to Kansas during Kansas Fever to help ensure that it be kept free of slavery. John Brown would eventually head there to help his sons. One of the major conflicts that led to the Pottawatomie Massacre was the sacking of the anti-slavery town of Lawrence by the pro-slavery border ruffians on May 21, 1856. Along with the being of abolitionist Senator Charles Sumner by the pro-slavery Senator Preston Brooks on May 22, 1856, John Brown believed he had a divine mission to get revenge. After hearing about Charles Sumner's beating, John Brown said, quote, "Something must be done to show these barbarians that we too have rights." End quote. On the night of May 24, 1856, John Brown took a small group of men to the pro-slavery town of Pottawatomie Creek. John Brown and his men knocked on the cabin door of James Doyle and his family. Claiming to be looking for the Wilkinson's place, James Doyle opened the door when John Brown and his men rushed into his home. Grabbing James Doyle and his sons William and Drury, John and his men take them from their house. From there, John Brown shoots James Doyle in the head with his revolver. Next to be murdered would be William Doyle. He would be shot in the side and stabbed by Brown's men. While William was being murdered, the younger brother Drury tried to escape. He would be chased down into a ravine where he would get hacked to death by their swords. After killing the 3 Doyles, John Brown and his men would brutally kill Allen Wilkinson and William Sherman. Altogether, John Brown and his men would end up brutally murdering 5 people during the night of May 24, 1856. John Brown said the reason why he committed these murders was because, quote, "I have no choice. It has been decreed by the Almighty God, ordained from eternity, that I should make an example of these men." End quote. After the Pottawatomie Massacre, Southerners would be shocked and outraged at the barbaric actions of John Brown. This would continue to push the North and South farther apart, eventually leading to the Civil War.